Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Whiskey and Wool. This is part of my Knitter's Life series. I am in the 4th season, season 4, episode 11. Trying to do better. Me remembering my episodes. It's been a bit. I haven't been recording. I haven't recorded, I think, in about a month. Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks. Just been busy with summer stuff and a lot of spinning. So I hope you're here for that. I want to tell you about all the things though, so let me get going with that. I'm gonna this will basically be about knitting and a lot about yarn and some spinning and a little bit of life stuff. I made a very exciting trip into New York City. Oh, by the way, I'm Shannon. I live in West New York, New Jersey, in Hudson County, right across the river from New York City. I don't know if I've ever shared that part, my actual town and stuff. It's a big town. It's a big city. So, yeah. Anyway, I live right along on the cliffside, right along the Hudson River, and I can see the city. And you probably saw a clip of what I was looking at yesterday on my walk to the farmers market. So we have a really lovely farmers market every Friday. So it is Saturday afternoon. I get beautiful afternoon sunlight in my apartment. So it's an optimum time to record without having to use artificial light. So I think it'll be good. I think the natural light should stick with us. It is a very warm day, so I'm not wearing any knits, just wearing a blouse. And yeah, I have the air conditioners on and stuff and a fan, but I don't think you're gonna hear any of that. If you do, it'll be it's very quiet. Those are very quiet sounds in my apartment. I decided to pour myself a little glass of wine because it is cocktail hour, I guess, aperitivo hour. I'm having some rosé, Wolfer Estate rosé. Wolfer Estate is a Long Island, New York winery out in the Hamptons, which I have been to, and I've visited the winery, but I absolutely love their rosé. It's often hard to get. By the end of July you can't find it anywhere, but I think they're doing better with their production. So I've been able to get a bottle. I used to buy it by the case because it was so hard to get. So when I saw it, I would buy a case of it and just put it away for the summer. But I haven't had to do that last summer or this summer so far. So, but anyway, it's delicious. And I'll tell you a little secret about rosé. Besides this one, if you want a good rosé, just make sure it's from Côte de Provence. They all taste the same from that region, and they're all delicious. Especially if you like berry, strawberry, watermelon flavors, like those sort of like subtly fruity, but not overwhelmingly so, not too sweet, not too dry, like kind of right dry-ish, but not bone dry, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, if it says it's from Côte de Provence, it's going to be an excellent bottle. You can't go wrong. So you don't have to go crazy to buy like a $25 or $30 bottle. You can find them for $12 or $15 from Côte de Provence. Even the smaller wineries, they all taste delicious. So highly recommend. So that's my rosé wine secret. I'm a big rosé fan. Do enjoy my rosé. So I may be sipping on my wine throughout this recording. I have some knitting updates, so I thought I might start with that. I have a finished object, and then I'm going to talk to you about what Martha's wearing. Martha is my mannequin. She is my size, and I guess she was better that way, right? Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute, because that's a thing. I finished the little hoodie that I was making for my granddaughter Julie. It is a raglan sleeve construction. It is, it's the Mini-Unbearable Hoodie pattern. by Maxim Cyr. I have made this 4 times now. This is my 4th time making a hoodie for my granddaughter. Like, as she grows, I make her another hoodie. I'm sure it won't be the last. She seems to really love them. And I just didn't do, this is my 3rd self-striping one, and I just did not do the color work. The very first one I made for her, I did the color work. So this is a Max's pattern, has a color work, beautiful color work pattern along the bottom, these cute little bears. I probably put a picture on screen. And it is a DK weight pattern, so it knits up very fast. I think I made this in about 10 days. And I made the size 6. The pattern is, I want to say it's a 6-month or a 2-year-old. Maybe it's 2, 6, 12, 16 are the sizes. And I'm pretty sure he did big spaces between the sizes because of the bear and flower pattern. So I've been, like, the last couple times I've just tweaked what, I had a moment of panic where I thought I wasn't recording, but I am. I've tweaked the pattern slightly to get to those in-between sizes. Like, I made her a smaller, like a 1-year-old size, then I made a 2-year-old size, then I made like something that became a 4-year-old size, and then this is a 6-year-old size, because she was wearing the 4-year-old size when she visited in May, and she's just growing all the time, so I know she needs a bigger size soon. And she absolutely fell in love with this yarn. I was spinning it actually when she was here, and I finished it while she was here, and she just was obsessed with it. She just was like, "You're gonna make me something, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I am. Yes, yes, yes." So yeah, this is hand spun yarn. It is spun into, if you're a spinner at all and you're curious, I used fiber from Kim Dye's yarn. She made some rainbow, 100% merino. She made rainbow, like a rainbow speckle. You could look at my Instagram if I can't find it here. Take a look at my Instagram. If you scroll back a little bit, you'll see the fiber, the yarn, and then the beginnings of the sweater. I'll post a picture of the finished sweater later today or tomorrow. But yeah, it was so fun. So this is all just, the striping that you're seeing is just all the way the yarn knit up. I didn't do any, there's no manual striping here. It's just the way the yarn was spun and the way that it knit. So it was really, really fun. And there was, I had 2 skeins. One skein was brighter than the other, but in the knitting, I don't even think you see that. So I actually knit the hood using the brighter color, and it actually looks paler to me. So you start, of course, top down at the neck, knitting down to, you know, through the whole body, then you come back and do the hood. I stopped doing the body right at the armhole, went back and did the hood using the other end of the skein because I was concerned that it wouldn't match well. And then the sleeves are also from the paler, so somewhere partway through here I switched over, I'm not even sure where, through the body I switched to the paler skein, and I don't even know if you can really tell that much. And the sleeves are also up the paler skein, and I think you could maybe notice it here that the coral here is not quite as bright as the coral over here. If I put them together, you really see it, but I think overall, the overall look of the sweater is fine. So all that remains for me to do is put a label in this and gift it. So I am seeing her in about 10 days. So she'll get this from me. She knows I'm bringing it too. So exciting, right? All right, let's talk about what Martha's wearing. There have been trials and tribulations with this sweater. This is The Traveler by Andrea Mowry. I saw the pattern and I just thought it would make this really cool, like kind of oversized, all yellow pattern. And in my last episode a few weeks ago, I spoke about how I realized that I did not have enough yarn, and I purchased the yarn with the idea I was going to make it, but I didn't pay attention to the yardage needed in the pattern. I just bought my usual like sweaters quantity of yarn, because like I know more or less what I need for a fingering weight sweater, what I need for a DK weight. This is also DK weight sweater, what I need for a worsted weight. I know my yardage. So I just bought the yardage that I thought I would need for a DK weight sweater, and it wasn't enough. And I realized, like, I kind of knew it wasn't enough. I knew I could see that I was off by about 400 yards according to what the pattern said I needed before I started it. But I went ahead and started it just figuring, like, sometimes there's some fudge room in there, but there wasn't a lot anyway. I haven't found a lot. So yeah, I had to punt. And I went crazy trying to find more of this yellow yarn. This is from Qing Fibre. I don't have the ball band with me. It's over a little ways away, so I'm just going to talk through it because you've heard, if you've been here before, you've heard the story. Qing Fibre Dashing Dk, which is a super fine merino from South Africa. I reached out to Qing. I looked at different stores that sell her stuff. I looked at D-stash pages. I tried to find more of the yellow, and I figured I would just roll the dice on dye lot differences, alternate skeins or whatever. It's fine. Done it before. There is not a skein to be had of this yellow. This is the colorway yellow, which is in her repertoire. She does it all the time. When I reached out to Qing, they told me that they no longer expect to carry the base even. They did not have even one skein of the color. They did not expect to have the base again. They didn't know when they would get it again. So I went hunting for the fingering weight, figuring I'll hold 2 strands together. Could not find the color, but I found this other color. So this speckled color, this is the colorway Salt, which is another color that's pretty popular. I've seen it frequently, many years now, in her colors that she offers on a regular basis. And I figured I would give it a go and see if it worked, because it was like a very highly speckled yarn, as you can see, and it has pops of yellow in it. I'm just trying to see what you're gonna see on screen. Yeah, there's actually some highlighter yellow in there, as well as like more golden color and a little bit of like mauve and bits of navy. So again, I'm holding 2 strands together so that overall speckle is getting, it's even more like more pixelated looking, I would say, because I'm holding 2 strands together. So I decided that I would try it just to do like a chest yoke, and then with the speckled yarn, and then make the hood speckled too, and then I would figure out what I'm going to do with the sleeves. So this is fresh off the blocking mat. I finished the body yesterday, and I blocked it last night, and it's been drying overnight. It's still a little damp. Is it? A little bit, tiny bit damp, but not too bad. But that's the chest stripe in the back. I just lined them up. Couple things I want to say about this pattern. I really appreciate all the work that Andrea puts into patterns, and I know it's not easy because I write patterns too, and I've done my share of like hand knit patterns as well. So I appreciate what she does, absolutely. And so you can see, like, this is a very big oversized. Wait, here's the waist. So Martha is my size. I have a big bust for I have a big cup size for the circumference of my chest. So because of that, like when I put on oversized things, you just see boobs. So it's never gonna hang and look oversized on me because of the cup size that I have. Unfortunately, because I do really like that look. But anyway, so this is probably, I want to say, so if I'm pinching at 8 inches right here, and I probably could pinch the same 8 inches on the other side. So I probably have about 15 to 18 inches of positive ease in this sweater. On her, in the pattern, she's short-waisted. She says it all the time, so that's not anything new if you follow her. And it's not a slight. It's just how she is, how she's built. And I'm not at all. I'm like average, I guess, because this mannequin, she's a size 12, but her vertical measurements are mine. So where her waist is, my waist is. Where her shoulder is and how her shoulders are shaped is where mine are. And her armhole drop is my armhole drop. All of that. I always make my pattern, my knits, my projects a little bit longer than Andrea's because of that discrepancy between her shorter torso and my more average one. And for this sweater, she said to knit 7 inches. Now this fabric grew a lot. So if you saw this in my last episode, it looked quite short. When I took this out of the wash bin yesterday and held it up, it was the size of a dress. So I could hold it up to me and it was just down to my knees. It was so freaking long, it just grew. Which makes sense because the yardage is like 400 yards more than what I would normally use on a DK weight sweater. And I think it will shrink up a bit more. I don't think it's gonna stay this length, because knit, as it dries and relaxes, it has a tendency to go to, it's resilient, so it'll go back a bit. But wow, I was really surprised. Now I did not alter anything. I followed the directions, and I hit gauge, so I have gauge. I didn't do anything to this, from the split for the sleeves up. This is bottom up. I didn't change a thing. I knit to pattern. And so this is quite long. So I don't know if any of you have made this pattern, and maybe you experienced something similar. I made the size 3. But you can see like the armhole is way down here. So hang on. My natural armhole is right there where the sleeve is sort of flippy floppy. And the armhole of the sweater is way down here. So I don't know, I'm gonna chew on this a little bit. My thought was I could frog back to where the color is and start the neck shaping. Also, the neck is really low. I know it's gonna be a hoodie, but wow, that's a scoop neck. I was expecting it to be closer to the collarbone, which would be about here. So yeah, I mean, I'm reserving judgment on the neck because I do have to do the hood. Yeah, so I was thinking I might tear down and then re-knit and modify, like, and reduce about that much, about an inch or so out of the top. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna let this sit, fold it up, not on Martha, but fold it up and see, and then pop it back on her before I make any determination, because I have other things to knit, so I can just knit other things while I decide. Something else happened, which maybe you eagle-eyed among you noticed, but the speckle yarn bled a bit, so I have, this is the only spot right here in the front, big pink blob on the yellow yarn, which doesn't bother me all that much. It's a bit of a bummer, but if I rip back, I would be using that in the, it would just stay where it's at anyway, so that's fine. It's just now I know, though, that that speckle's going to bleed, so when I go to block it again when it's finished, I will definitely be putting in Synthropol, which is a chemical you can buy that keeps color from bleeding into other colors. It's better than the color catcher things that are sold for us, because Synthropol is something that's used in the industry. So you could pick it up on Amazon. I picked up a bottle. I want to say it was like $12 or something like that. A small like bottle of this stuff, and you just put a cap full in, and it keeps your sweater yarns from bleeding on each other. Yeah, so that's my tale of the traveler. I do wish it wasn't so problematic. Honestly, like when I put this on her earlier, I thought to myself, maybe I'll just frog the whole thing and make something different. But I really like it. I love the pattern. I really want my own hoodie. I really wanted an all yellow hoodie, but this is okay. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And I do think, like, especially when I'm looking on screen, like what you're looking at, what you're gonna see, I think the chest stripe is fine. Like, I think it looks really cool. And I think, you know, a speckly, I'm just gonna put Julie's sweater up there for a moment, but like a splash of like kind of color up here is gonna look fine, right? Just a little taken aback by that like deep scoop and all the growth that happened with the stitch. So yeah, wow, stitch really grew. I love the way it looks though. I like this better than what it was doing before I blocked it. So it is nice, and I do think it is going to shrink up a bit. We'll see. Who knows, right? All right, that's that. Let me keep going here. I have a small update on my other whip, the Gym sweater by Irene Lynn. I did finish the row, yes. I've just been working on this occasionally, and I am about to the spot where I will, this is the back, by the way. I should just give you a good look before I start talking about it, right? It is a all over lace sweater that's really oversized. She tells you, I think it's like 15 to 18 inches of positive ease for this sweater too. And I ended up, I struggled to get gauge. I am using some Lamb & Kid Todd worsted that I bought for myself. This is the colorway Island Bunny. I bought it for myself for my birthday this year, which was like in February, so it's a ways away, a ways long ago, and I'm just now getting around to making this. But I would like it to be done before the cold weather sets in, which will be like end of October for us here where I live. And I really haven't been putting a lot of hours on this sweater. I've been, I did a lot of spinning, which took a lot of my more like, this is a constant, what I would call a concentration knit, because you are having to pay attention row by row in order to make the lace pattern. So a lot of my sort of concentration crafting time has been spinning instead of knitting on this. But I expect to get more work put in on this. It's sort of like, I tend to cast on like 2 to 4 projects at a time, and whatever one starts getting closer to being done will kind of bubble to the top, and I'll just work on that pretty religiously until it's done, and then the next one kind of moves into that position. So yeah, so I expect like this will get there soon. So right now I am a few rows away from where the sleeve would be. This is top down, drop shoulder sweater, so where the sleeves will be set. So I'm trying to determine where that will fall actually on the body, so I don't have this problem. And I think I'm pretty close. Martha's wearing a bra. The top of the bra is right here, right there. The bottom of the bra is above where this thing ends. This is a really draggy armhole. Now, of course, this is a drop armhole, but still, I don't like it when I can pull my elbow in without having to touch the sleeve. So I'm trying to avoid that. So yeah, I just have a few more, I would guess maybe 2 to 4 more rows before I should stop. And then what you do is you come back to the front and knit the left front and right front separately, and then once they reach, and you're shaping your neckline, and once they reach the point where they hit the sleeve armhole, area, you join in the round and knit the whole piece in the round, which I think will be really nice. That'll, once I get to that point, it should really fly, because there's a rest row. So the rest row right now is your purl side, but when I'm knitting in the round, the rest row will be a knit side. So knits are usually, it's easier to knit than purl, as we know. I don't mind purling at all, but I am a faster, just straight up knitter. Yeah, this is really bothering me. The more I'm looking at this, I'm just like, oh my god, if this doesn't regain some of its stretch and pull up a bit, like, I'm gonna have to pull it up this way. So it'll really be more like that. That's the idea. I'll regain some yellow yarn. I think that's nicer looking. And that's pinching out like, yeah, about 2 of these, maybe 2.5 of these repeats. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about that because it's really bugging me. All right, moving on. I have one other, this is a new cast on. I don't think you saw this. I talked about it probably. This is another Andrea Mowry pattern. This is my go-to sock pattern. It's her bear paw pattern modified, or you could think of it as her DRK everyday sock pattern modified. I am knitting it on DK, and it is micro striping. Isn't it so cute? So this is yarn by Cat Sandwich Fibers called Video Games. It's part of her regular repertoire. Only Cat Sandwich, the woman who owns Cat Sandwich, is not a prolific dyer, so she will dye in spurts and have a couple shop updates one after the other for a few weeks, and then nothing, crickets for a few weeks, and then, you know, back it up again. I believe she's a nurse, although I'm not sure if she's retired from that, but I think her training is nursing. But anyway, back to the pattern. I modified the DRK Everyday Sock pattern before she came out with the Bear Paw pattern to be knit on 2.5mm needles using DK yarn. And I just kind of estimated my stitch count, what I needed for the 2x2 rib pattern. And I do the Flegel heel the way that she wrote the pattern. I just am working on a slightly smaller stitch count. So because she did so many sizes, I was able to kind of scope out and figure out what I needed. I am making a woman's shoe size 8 sock. These are probably going to be for me. I haven't gotten started on my gift knitting, so I'm kind of behind by my own reckoning. Anyone else, other knitters may feel like they don't do gift knitting until the fall, but I generally try to gift knit a small project for all my kids, all of my sons and their partners. So I have 3 adult sons and they're all partnered, so that's 6 people plus my granddaughter, so that's 7 people. I try to gift knit something for them, and it's been socks the last few years, and this year I thought I would do cowls for them. I had a start and fail with a cowl pattern. So I don't know, I just haven't I haven't gotten busy with the gift knitting yet, but I imagine like soon, towards the end of next month, I will need to get there. So these may end up being for one of the ladies, one of the partners. We all 4 of us wear the same shoe size, so it makes it really easy for me to just knit a sock, pair of socks, and figure out who it goes to later, although there are some definite preferences in terms of color among us, and I think me and my daughter-in-law who lives in Texas have similar color preferences. And then yeah, and my daughter-in-law who lives here is who lives over in New York, she tends to like moody dark colors, and my other son's partner, I think she's pretty good with most colors. I don't know what her I have a feeling her preferences lean towards mine and my other daughter-in-law's. I have a feeling, just from some of the things she said. I don't know her incredibly well yet. Still getting to know her a bit. So yes, that's my knitting. So it's really just 2 sweaters and a sock, and the sock is just in a small knit as you walk, although I haven't knit and walked for quite some time, but I have done it. It is fun. It's good for when I'm anxious and I'm wound up over something to just take out my knitting while I'm walking. I do when I'm stuck in stop and go traffic, or just like sitting at a stoplight for a really long time. There's a stretch of my commute that I sit at a stoplight for a very long time and move up a couple car lengths and then stop again and sit for a long time. I do knit a few rounds, and it's very satisfying as I'm sitting there. Very satisfying and very calming. So yeah, I just have those 3 knit patterns on the go. I am itching to cast on something new, so stay tuned for, not today, but look for, before I go on my trip, I think I'll be recording a cast on with me video where I'm going to talk to you about my next cast on. Those are like a little more detailed. I think I only have 4 episodes to date, and they're on their own playlist. But I go into detail about the choices that I made to get to the project, and then the choices I made in the yarn, and then the things that I've thought about in terms of how the project is going to go. So they go in, I spend like maybe 30 to 40 minutes just talking about that stuff. So if that's your thing, you might enjoy those. You can definitely see, I think I cast on the Traveler. I did do an episode with the gym sweater. I didn't do one for socks because these socks I've been making for years, so there's not a lot of thought that goes into them other than what size am I going to make. And yeah, a couple others, like a couple of my other past knits, the Jethro crochet, so you get a lot more info. Anyway, talked about that long enough. I wanted to share with you some spinning that I've been doing. The spinning bug really bit me earlier this summer, before Tour de Fleece. So Tour de Fleece, if you're not familiar, if you're not a spinner, it wouldn't be surprising that you're not familiar. Tour de Fleece is when spinners around the world spin yarn during the weeks that Tour de France is happening. So they're pedaling and we're treadling. That's the idea, right? So people form teams, and the teams then come up with a theme, and some of them make challenges, or like they're very competitive, and others are more chill. I am definitely not in to the competitive stuff. I just prefer the more chill. I don't need more stress in my life at this point. So I actually joined 2 teams this year. I always join Team Mohair for the Dame because Sarah, who owns Green Goat Ranch, which is just down the Jersey Shore from me, not too far, about an hour away, in Red Bank, New Jersey, I went to her farm for Farm Day before the pandemic in 2019 and learned how to spin there. I took a class with Alex of Alex Creates, and he's a pretty big Instagram personality, and he's the real deal, like an artist, young, like under 30, I think still. But he has been the champion spinner at Rhinebeck for several years running, for like the last 8 years, I want to say. I don't know if he competed recently, but I know for several years in a row he won many spinning competitions. So he's just a cool guy. So it was really fun to learn how to spin from him. And I was on her ranch when I learned and got to know her a little bit and got to know her goats, and she has a mohair goat farm. And we've just been friends ever since, like online friends. I see her at shows and chat with her, and yeah, I adore her. So I always join her team. And this year I joined a second team. I got bold and joined a second team. I joined Stash Dashers, which is run by Melly Knit, and she lives just outside of Vancouver in Canada. She is fun, F-U-N fun. What a blast. Like, with the way she and her energy, she just has great energy, and she puts people, it's a huge team, like over I think she had almost 400 people spinning with her. So she puts people in smaller groups so that you can get a little talk, chatting among yourselves. And it's a real mixed team, like beginning spinners, So is Sarah's though too. So Sarah's is very chill. You make your own goals, and with Melly you just spin from your stash. That's the only rule, and there's not even a spin every day, whatever. I did spin every day except for 2 days when I was away, just because I wanted to get stuff moving. But before Tour de Fleece, I had been in a slump. I had been in a knitting slump, and even like leading into like the month leading into Tour de Fleece, I'd started spinning again. Not every day, but almost every day, and I got into the practice of spinning every morning while I drink my coffee. And that is usually the time where I would knit on things like the gem sweater. So I would sit down. I'm one of those, like, I gotta have like 20 minutes of crafting while I wake up every morning. So because I have, like, I always wake up groggy. I have a thyroid disease that just, I need to take medication to get up to speed each morning. So I just take that time, that 20 to 30 minutes of time for the medication to kick in, and enjoy my morning coffee and get going and think about the day ahead and the things I have to do. So it's been a lovely habit. So I started to spin about 3 weeks, spin every morning instead. So I set up a nice spinning station. If I remember, I'll put a clip in here of what it looks like in my bedroom, where the cats also like to hang out in the morning because I open up the window if it's not too hot out, and they get a little fresh air. They get to watch the birds and listen to the birds chirp, and I get some peace and time to wake up. So it's been really lovely. It's just been like really peaceful and a nice way to start the day. So I have been spinning through my stash, and before this spin, 2 spins back actually. So if you went back to Knitter's Life, not the last, not episode 10, but episode 9, I probably showed you what is a combo spin. So I started to realize that I could spin through my stash and really empty it out, because I'm storing too much, I feel, in my small apartment. I recently moved, so I moved last year, and things are just packed, and I've really been looking to edit and clear stuff out, which, put a pin in that, because we're coming back to that after I'm done telling you about spinning. So I've really been trying to just get stuff out of here, like just edit what I have, reduce the number of clothes I have, reduce all that. And I started to realize that if I did combo spins, I could probably spin through almost all of my stash if I put together 3 different mixes. So then Tour de Fleece came. So I had done 1 combo spin. I loved it. Came out amazing. Tour de Fleece came, and I had already designated yarn that was going to be for Tour de Fleece, and what I'm going to show you is yarn that I had designated for Tour de Fleece. I'm trying to think. Oh, this is a Tour de Fleece color. Oh my god, this came out so good. This is a 3-ply fractal. It is so pretty. It is a heavy sport to light DK, like somewhere in there. I would probably knit it as if it's a sport weight. So it's very much like Dyed in the Wool from Spin Cycle. It even is very similar color-wise. It just so happened that, you know, these are the colors that I'm attracted to, and there's a color by Mermaid's Pearl that I've knitted with that's very similar to this. So I actually have a sweater's quantity here. I think I have about 1,300 yards, about 12 and change. So I've got 3 skeins that are identical, pretty much, like very similar colors, because I finally wised up. So I bought 3 braids. I knew I was doing a 3-ply, and with this sweater I did a 3-ply as well, a 3-ply fractal, 2 braids. And with this one, what I did was I took 1 braid, and a braid, I'm talking about this, so this is some new fleece that I'll tell you about. A braid is this, where you divide it, so you would divide it into 3 parts, and then each part would become a bobbin, and then you change up the way that you spin each bobbin so that you get this like broken self-striping mixed with some marling going on there. So that's what you end up getting when you do that type of spin. With this one, after I did this multicolored spin for Julie, I realized that what I should be doing with 3 braids is each skein should have a piece, a third of each braid. So then the color is the same and I don't end up with a brighter one or a darker one or one that's more blue or one that's more rust, so that they would all be identical. And that's exactly what I did. So I took one braid I took and divided it in thirds, and I was like, okay, that's my end to end, and that's going to be the end to end, where you, in a fractal, you do end to end, and then you rip it in half again, and then you do like end to end, end to end. So on the bobbin it's like 2 parts, and then you do 4 parts, and that's how you do a fractal if you're doing 3-ply. Most fractals are 2-ply. So yeah, love it. Love, love, love. No idea what I'm making. It doesn't matter. It's just gonna get lovingly stored for now, and some perfect project will come along, and this will be it. This will be the yarn. But yeah, so happy with this. So yeah, this was, I should tell you, if I have a picture of the fiber before I spun it, I will put it in. I think I do. It's 100% organic Pullworth, the fiber, and so it's so soft, so beautifully soft. And it is by Inglenook Fibers, and this is the colorway Nice. That's where the Tour de France ended this year. So that's where, that's what this was based on. They had a beautiful picture. If I can find that, I'll add that here too, so you see that. So yeah, oh my God, I love this. So now I'm back to doing my combo spin. And if this isn't too long, yeah, I'm doing good on time. I always try to be around an hour. I'm back to doing combo spins from my stash, where I am taking 3 very different looking fibers, maybe mixing maybe some Pullworth, some merino, some Corriedale all together, and making a 3-ply combo spin. So it's where you're taking different braids or preps even, and just mixing them up. So I have a clip on my latest spin that I'm going to have you watch. It's about 5 minutes. So I'm working on another combo spin, so I just wanted to talk you through the options of what I'm looking at. By the time you see this, I'll have already decided. So this is just sort of a processing video. Okay, so I had 2 bats. I have 2 bats. This is one bat. This is from Melionated Boho Bay. The colorway is called Stunning, and if you like Chelsea Luxe yarn, this is named after Christina of Chelsea Luxe. She says Stunning all the time. That's what Amanda from Melionated Boho Bay told me. And I think, if I remember right, it's 113 grams, this bat. But you can see it's like a pretty, on the inside, it's like pretty, kind of a rose gold color, I would say. Or maybe you might call this mauve. And it's got these shots of fluorescent yellow and pink, and a lot of tinsel, and a lot of neps, which I freaking hate, these little white cotton things. When I bought this, I didn't know how much I dislike spinning those, so I'll pick them out as I go, as much as I can, because they just are annoying. They're gonna get all over the house wherever I spin. So anyway, that's that. The second one I have, this is probably some of my oldest stash, these 2, especially this one. This is from, yeah, Classy Squid Fiber Company. I don't think that, I can't remember this woman's name, but I don't think she makes fiber bumps anymore. She cleaned out, she had a rough pandemic experience, and she stopped working for a while, and then recently cleared out all of the stuff she had. And I don't think she's making bats anymore. I might be wrong, I don't know. Anyway, you can see it's a blend. It's got Targhee, Shetland, some silk, and some nylon, and Firestar Sparkle in it. And it is primarily black with fuchsia. So I thought, I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? These 2 go together beautifully. And I have There's two. This is what's in here is exactly what this is. So this is together also 113 grams. So great. Now for the third color. I have three options. One is this. This is from Angel Locks Fiberworks. I got it during the pandemic in an online Maryland sheep and wool. It's her odds and end roving. So I think what's in here is just a stack of bits of roving. It's easier to see here. I worry this is a little too dull. I kind of want something a little punchy because that has a lot of like rose gold. This has a lot of black. Yes, there's pops of color, but I think this might be too dull. I'm not sure. Same weight though, so that's a possibility. Number 3, I have this partial braid. That's merino. This could be good, right? And then I have this little batling. These are both from Green Goat Ranch. I bought a closeout mystery pack and got a whole bunch of small dribs and drabs. Together, they're a little bit shy of the weight that these are. I think they're 108 grams versus 113, but that's still pretty close. I think that would be pretty. I worry it would be a little too dark. There's a whole lot of whatever this bright purple stuff is. It's just laying on top on this batling, but because these two would be one bobbin, I would do my best to blend them. So you can see this is turquoise with some dark purple. This might be the winner. I'm not sure, but I'm going to show you one more thing. This is some roving from Into the World. It's a club color from 2021. Blueface Leicester. Hold the Line is the title, which I think is a Man in Black. My gosh, what's his name? Johnny Cash. I think it's based on a Johnny Cash song. This would be probably the most out there choice. It does have like a lot of this sort of cheese doodle color. It also has these deep teals and deep purples. I freaking love this roving so much. I love this color. It's gonna be some sort of combo, whether it works with this or not. I'm not sure. I'm really torn between this one. I think the Angel Lock is the Thief. It would make kind of a nice, kind of safe, boring, maybe even yarn. This could be pretty cool. And this combo could also be pretty cool. This might be the best, actually, now that I'm looking at them on screen. But anyway, like I said, I will have decided. I hope I decide right. Okay. So I have a little bit of that spun. I have 2 of the 3 colors spun. So I just wanted to share that with you. This is the blue-green, where there were like deep teals and bright teals with purple and shots of pink. So the thing that for me kind of unified all of these were these shots of hot pink that were in each of them. And I just finished this morning one bobbin of the black and purple batlings that are from Classy Squid Fibers. This was a really lumpy bumpy one, so where this was very smooth. So although these are the same amount of wool, this one just has a little more bulk because there's a lot of those like neps, I think they call them, in it. So this was, I had a little batling that was bright purpley, and you probably saw it in the clip, and then I had a braid, a small braid, and together they made 4 ounces. And then the batlings, these Classy Squid Fiber batlings, had were 2 ounces a piece. So this is 1 2-ounce bobbin, and then I'll make a second one. So I do have 2 of these. So this color's done. I'll have 2 of these soon, like in the next day or so. And then I will spin the more neutral color from Melanated Boho One thing I realized after I filmed, I went and weighed what I got from Amanda Solomon, and it's my fault. It was my record keeping, not her fault at all. That bat, it seemed smaller, right, in the pictures when I was putting it next to this classy squid, and they were only 60 grams. Hers was only 60 grams. So I did go through my stash, and I had a couple mini bats of some very similar colored fiber that I put with it to get it up to the same 113 gram pieces. So I'm excited to see. This is like probably a more daring, what I would consider more daring, and I think it's gonna look really witchy. So it's gonna be these, so this will be apply, and then the beige with the pink, bits of pink and bright yellow will be apply. We'll see what we get. I'm excited to see. And I have planned my next couple combo spends. My idea is to combo spend my way out of at least half of my fiber stash, which I think I'll be done. I figured I wouldn't really get there until the end of the year, and that's fine. If I get there sooner, great. In the meanwhile, I'm trying really hard. I'm avoiding purchasing, even though I've seen fiber that I do want to purchase, so I've been trying really hard to not purchase any. However, I did buy this during Tour de Fleece. So this is, I bought 3 braids of this. I love this so much. It's so gorgeous. It is really, yes, my colors. And on my screen, I'll see what I can do in editing, but on my screen, this green on my screen, it does not look as neon as it actually is in person. This is like a very bright neon-y green. And I think the color is called Koi Pond. Fishbowl. She calls it fishbowl. So I guess like a goldfish. But I think this is going to be so pretty. I bought 3 braids. They're all 4 ounces, and this is Cormo, not superwash, non-superwash Cormo, which I love to spin. I've spun it before. I was just going to make sure it's 4 ounces. It may be 100 grams instead. The braids are sold, the braids of roving, this is called roving, are sold in the same sizes that a skein of yarn is. So where you'd buy like a skein and it's 100 grams or 4 ounces, same thing with these. So this will be a project's quantity, and I will do a 3-ply fractal just like these. So I should end up with like 1,200 or so yards of that. So that I'm actually gonna stash. I'm putting that away. I'm gonna work through these combo spends where I'm really just using up copious amounts of stash that has been hanging around for quite some time. Because when I learned how to spin, I kind of did what I did with yarn when I learned about indie dyers, where I was just like, oh, that's a pretty color, and that's a pretty color, and that's a pretty color, and I bought a single skein here and there of mini dyers yarns. So I kind of did the same thing with fiber, and I ended up with just a single 4-ounce braid or a 100-gram braid or a 100-gram bat. And I bought some mystery sets and stuff like that, same as I did with the indie dyed yarn. I did the same thing. And you know, over time, you're just like, what do I do with this single skein? Like, I have so many single skeins of handspun right now that I'm just like, how many socks can I make? Or small projects. Like, they're great for small projects, but you don't really want to have like 50 skeins hanging around. So combo spinning will help me get more yardage. So that's one motivation, but it also really bangs through a lot of what I have. So once I get through and really reduce what I have by half or more, then I'm gonna just maintain a small stash so that when I feel like spinning or I want a spinning project, there's one readily available and I can just go and start spinning. So I'm very, very happy about that. I've already been able to reduce some of what I'm storing just through the little bit of spinning that I've been doing. So very excited about that. In the subject of stashing down or destashing, I have recently destashed almost 50 skeins of single skein yarns and some pairs, like where I had 2. So I've really done a great job, like just moving quantities of yarn out of here. Every year at the beginning of the year, around like towards the end of the year, beginning, it tends to be like my first episode in January. I have, for the last like 3 years, I've been trying to, sorry, I have like a little sore that's bleeding a bit. I have been trying to stash down my yarn stash too, and it's a bit of a struggle because I do make yarn. I spin, so I make yarn. And I'm also not disciplined enough, or maybe I'm just a little bit more easy on myself. Like if I see a sweater's quantity, a bunch of yarn that I want to knit with, I buy it if I have a project in mind. I've kept myself from just buying yarn for purposes of just stashing. So I don't buy yarn to just stash unless it's very unique and special, and then I'll buy it to stash, but I keep it in mind so that I try to knit with it in the coming months. So what I unloaded was mostly old stash that I had bought pre-2020, and had bought a lot of single skeins, mystery skeins, things like that, things that I didn't necessarily choose, but I did purchase them. So I really just wanted to crank through, like get those out of my stash and into people's hands that are either going to love them, or that are definitely going to love them, but also maybe they're going to knit with them, you know, and they're just sitting here. They were sort of like a yoke around my neck, like just feeling like I have all this yarn and I don't know when I'm ever going to knit with it. And every time I'm inspired to knit a pattern, my first thought is always my stash. So I always have been looking at my stash to sort of figure out what it is that I want to knit with. And then often what happens is that I end up choosing a pattern, finding some of the yarn in my stash, and then having to buy some. And that's fine. Like I'm not, I mean, and if you have a different way of operating, cool. Like if it works for you, great. This is just what I have found, the way that I tend to operate whenever I'm knitting, when I'm choosing yarn for a new project. Like the yarn I'm going to show you, the Cast On With Me, the next Cast On With Me episode, it's all yarn I've had in stash for a long time, with a tiny exception, which I'll get into on that video. So yay me, like for using yarn that I have in my stash, great. And I have another Cast On planned for September that will do the same, like use old stash yarn. Sorry, just making sure my arm isn't bleeding on my, you can see it a little bit right there. I think I had a scab or something. Just want to make sure it's not bleeding on my shirt. So yeah, so I'm so happy. It took me about 3 weeks of posting. I posted on a website where I'm anonymous. So I don't think anybody that watches my show, because you would have known, you would have recognized my name, purchased. But I shipped a lot of yarn to many happy people, and I was happy to do it. I sold at very low prices, like probably half of what I paid. They were priced to move because I needed them to move. And it was partly like I need to make more room in my house, but also I just need to get that yarn out of here so that I am not beating myself up over having it, over like having this yarn that I just can't find projects for. So yeah, I have only 3 skeins that I did not sell. I tried to post them a couple times and they didn't sell. There's nothing wrong with them. And if you're curious of what I'm selling, I also double post in Ravelry. So whenever I put things up for sale, they're posted also in Ravelry. And I do have some spinning fleece posted there too, which, to be honest, like when I'm ready, I'm gonna take those fleeces back and spin them. Like they will get spun. I had a recent realization that there are certain colors I really don't like. Like I always thought I liked all the colors, but I don't. I pretty much don't like any shade of purple. Like I like to look at them And I love seeing purple pop up as a contrast, but if it's mostly purple, I don't want to wear it. Like, it's not something I want. Other people in my life love purple though, so I always think of them whenever I come across some purple yarn. So I mostly destashed a lot of purple and a lot of dark red. I really don't like burgundy very much, and I really, really don't like olive. Like, no. Again, I like those as contrast. Like, this very definitely had a lot of burgundy in it, this yarn, but you wouldn't necessarily notice it because the overall effect is this turquoise with this orangey color. So I like it like that. It's fine. Although one of these skeins, I don't know which one, I reached a point where it was a lot of yards of purple, where I was like plying together 3 shades of purple, and I was like, oh, this makes me so sad. But it's in the overall effect of the skein, it's totally fine. I couldn't even tell you which skein that purple chunk was in, but yeah, there was a section that was just very purple. So yeah, I've come to this realization that these are colors that I really don't want in my wardrobe. And while other people in my life would like it, I don't see the need to stash that yarn if I'm not going to knit it into my own wardrobe, because I knit for myself probably 2/3 to 1/3 of knitting for others. So yes, so that was a lot of my motivation. Strangely, the 3 skeins I haven't sold are pink, but that's okay because my granddaughter loves pink, so those will get knit into something at some point if I don't get those sold. And they're in the meantime, like my MO is like, if I think I want to sell it, I'll post it on the Ravelry D-stash pages, and if they sell, great. If they don't, at some point they'll get knitted. So that's what's happening there. At the beginning, I mentioned that I went into New York. I had met my sister for dinner. She works in Hudson Yard in an office complex at Hudson Yards, which Hudson Yards, if you haven't been to New York in a while, is a pretty big complex. It's the lower floors are shopping, like very high-end shopping, designer shops and stuff, and restaurants. So I went in to meet her for dinner. And I have some beautiful clips that will be at the end of my video here that you can hang around and watch, of the New York City, not so much the skyline, which you saw at the beginning, but like we were on the 100th floor of this building and we had an amazing view. We were having drinks, right? We were literally like this close to the window, like right up against the window. Having drinks like at a table that was right up against the window, and then we were by this big sculpture called the Vessel, that is beautiful. It's a beautiful piece that is interactive. You can walk on it sometimes. There have been a number of suicides there from the Vessel, so they've had it closed for several months as they try to figure out how to mitigate the people who go there to jump off of it, because it's really big. It's probably like 15 stories high, that sculpture. It's beautiful though. So I have clips of that that you'll see, and clips of being on this precipice off of this building, this viewing deck, where you can see the New York City landscape and New Jersey. And there was a little, if it's good, I'll put it in. There was a little clip where I saw my building where I live. And so I kind of zoomed in a little bit. If it's viewable, that'll be in too. So there's going to be a lot of maybe a minute or so of just New York City stuff at the end here. So I hope you enjoy. And it's been really great catching up with you, and I look forward to catching up with you in my next Cast On With Me as well. And then I will circle back. I'll be back for a Knitter's Life episode towards the end of August, in about a month or so, a few weeks, 3 weeks to a month. I have a trip planned to Texas where I'll be seeing my granddaughter. I also have a trip where I'm going to New York next week. I'm meeting friends. So there may be some clips from that in the upcoming episode. And yeah, just fun summer shenanigans. I hope you're enjoying your summer, if it is summer, or your winter if you are in the southern hemisphere, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon. Take care. Bye.